Hello, America. Boy, I've had an amazing, I think, 48 hours. I've learned so much in the last 48 hours. We're doing an awful lot of research right now, and I'm going to try to be as clear as I possibly can. But I want you to listen. I want you to DVR this show right now, and I want you to burn it to DVD, and I want you to share it. And I please, I ask you not to take anything I say as gospel. I ask you, please, to do your own homework. Everyone is arguing the wrong things on the WikiLeaks story. Everybody's going back and forth. He should be arrested. He's a hero. No, he's not. He's a traitor. Think out of the box, please. Tonight, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to show you the big picture because it is much, much deeper. WikiLeaks is huge, but is only a piece of the perfect storm. And you must think out of the box. I'm going to show you stuff tonight that we have shown you and we've laid out for the last several months, actually the last 2 years. But boy, it is all starting to come together. I don't know if you're feeling this. I don't know if you're seeing it. Sometimes I just don't know. I don't know if this is making an impact. And you are doing your own homework. I think you are. I pray that you are. It is much deeper, and there are things that I wouldn't have believed any of this 2 years ago. But it's never just about one singular issue with progressives and radicals and revolutionaries. The revolution has begun. I never thought I would say those words, but I understand that it has today. The people you're up against have buried themselves in our government, and they have been wearing masks for a long time, but they're about to take those masks off. And understand, they want control of every aspect of your life because the world is about to change. And while they try to convince you that it's not, it is, and they know it is. They want to control every aspect of life to make society more just, but from their perspective. I showed you last night, I told you that if I were going to take over the world, because that's what Forbes said, that Soros said of me, that I was going to start some dictatorship because you're too stupid. 2 years ago, as I was trying to figure out how far along are they, I put a list together, and this is just some of them. If I were going to take over the United States, what would I need? What would I need to do? Well, you'd have to control the financial sector. They did it with the financial bill. They control everything in the financial sector. You'd have to control healthcare, who lives, who dies. You'd have to control industry. That can be done through the financial sector. It can be done through taxes, and it can also be done through bailouts, just taking them. Like GM. You'd need to control the military. This one is really tough because the military is not going to be, they protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, please. Dear God, if you are listening to me in any part of the world and you are military, please, dear God, please remember your oath to the Constitution of the United States. Because this is the only piece they can't get. Now, they can bleed them dry. They can tire them out. Do you know that yesterday they just passed a spending budget? We have tons of money in it for new regulation. Who uses that regulation? Cass Sunstein. If you've listened to this show ever, I've told you he's the most dangerous man in America. Tons of new money for new regulation. But do you know that we just gave our military the smallest raise in the last 50 years. But all kinds of new money for new federal employees and regulation. But not the military. That's how they're going to do it. Stress them, push them, stretch them. And in history, they have done it before, not in this country, but others, by just not paying them. Then you have to grow dependence. You have to get people dependent on the government. Then you have to control the media and control food prices. Well, they've done this, not this, but they're working on it. They're doing this. They just passed the food bill for your safety. Remember, everything is done for your safety. And now the media. Guys, I have talked to professors all around the world, two in particular, that this is what they do. They study revolutionaries. They're not fans of mine. They've never even heard of me. They're eggheads. They don't watch television. Neither of these guys do. I've been consulting with them. You think, I mean, there are talking heads on television, and there are people that get their information from other journalists or other. This staff works tirelessly to figure out what is going on in this world. We don't like what we found, but we found it. And both of these experts on revolution say, well, they got to have the media. The last step will be the media. Now, does anyone find the timing of the FCC net neutrality debate odd? Noodle that. While I check in with new words that we have now of Robert McChesney. He is the founder of the group pushing for net neutrality. Listen to his words. No one thinks any longer that media reform is an issue to solve after the revolution. So you know, this organization is wildly powerful now in Washington. After the revolution, everyone understands that without media reform, there will be no revolution. In that sense, it is similar to the labor movement, where the demand for free trade unions, hardly revolutionary in its own right, is a necessary precondition to building a viable organized left that can contest for power. Even if you do not get the revolution in the United States, media reform, much like organized labor, can make a nation more just and humane place for its own inhabitants and the peoples of the world. So in other words, they'll take it even if they don't get the revolution, but revolution is what they're shooting for. Because I'm ad-libbing and I'm trying to use my faulty memory. Tiffany, will you do me a favor and check on this? I'm trying to remember the PR person for the FCC, for what's his name, the head of the FCC, used to work at Free Press. Julius Janikowski is the FCC person, and I believe his spokesperson is from this revolutionary. Now let me show you a new video. This is the latest from Van Jones, and I want you to notice the date on this. This happened last September. Listen to what he's saying here.
We can't just leave the federal government in the hands of our enemies and expect to make a lot of progress. So even if we can't get everything done that we want to get done out of D.C., we certainly can't let other people have the levers of control in D.C. But also, you can see right now, D.C. can't do much by itself. You have to have that bottom-up movement, and that's what's been missing, is that bottom-up sense of movement to get the best out of D.C. And what's stopping that is the inside-out piece. You know, we talk about power more than anybody. I know people on every kind of political, economic, we talk about power all the time and are more afraid of power than anybody I know. We talk about power. It's empowerment this, empowerment that. We want power. We don't want no power. Because when you have power, you become a real target. And there's a sense that we're not healed from some historical traumas. We've been trained not to have power. We've been trained to protest. We've been trained to critique and to be mad at massa. We have not been trained to grab the whip and put it down and run the plantation. That's not what we've been trained to do. And so I would argue that it's the inside-out transformation that will ignite the bottom-up transformation that will make the top-down transformation work.
Okay, top-down, remember, put the radicals in, and the bottom-up, get the revolutionaries to rise up. Grab the whip and run the plantation. Now, here he talks about his time in the White House, which we brought to an end. Watch.
People with my politics don't usually get let in the door, and I got a chance to see behind the curtain. I was in a cockpit for 6 months. I got a chance to see close up, very clearly, the amount of peril the country is in, the challenges that we're facing. I got a chance to learn that nobody in Washington, D.C. has all the power that they want, including the president, and that there are informal systems of power that operate. And they operate along racial and other lines. And we have to be much more sophisticated now. See, we did everything right. We had 6 years of one-party authoritarian rule in this country from 2000 to 2006. And the people in this room, we did everything right. We got 60 votes in the Senate. We got Speaker Pelosi, not some right-wing Democrat, Speaker Pelosi, and Barack Obama elected president. We did everything right. So standing flat-footed, January 2009, everything that we were taught to do, we had done and been successful. And here we are less than 24 months later, and most people feel like the hope bubble burst a long time ago because there's other systems of power that we were not taking seriously, and they have to do with the media, they have to do with the racial discourse in the media, and that's the next frontier.
Okay, that's the next frontier. The power that they didn't take into consideration is the media and the racists in the media, and that's the next frontier. Take the media. Take the media. Take the power from the mean, dumb racists, and then you have McChesney. You can't have a revolution without controlling the media. That's good advice, because let's look at somebody in the FCC, the diversity czar that we've been showing you for 2 years, Mark Lloyd. What does he say?
In Venezuela, Chavez really had an incredible revolution, democratic revolution.
He goes on to say it wouldn't have happened if he wouldn't have seized the media. An incredible democratic revolution. And right at the beginning of this presidency, who did the president have an accidental meeting with? Do you remember? Oh yes, Chavez. Chavez. And look, let's hold the book so everyone can see it. That's right. What is the book? An anti-American book about us colonialists that have been oppressing everyone. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. Revolutionaries are at the top. And the revolution has begun. The revolution is here, gang. It just hasn't gotten hot. And no one is looking for this stuff. I find all of the timing in this all way too coincidental. The push for net neutrality. The courts say you can't do it through Congress. The courts say you can't do it. Congress says they don't want to do it. The president surrenders. Then Assange appears and happens to be a revolutionary that wants change. He's then invited to speak where he meets 2 leftist women. They have consensual sex. They press charges on him for not using a condom. And now it forces him to